Hello and welcome to another video from your hindsight obsessive, and today I'm going to take a step back from the media collection space a bit and give you my take on the race swap controversy currently living rent-free in everybody's head. This video is to be an overview, but over the next 7 to 10 days I plan to post 2 to 3 videos actually to further clarify my position on this. As you know, there are basically 2 questions everybody would love to have an answer to. One, is there an agenda from the left to swap races of characters in American culture? And 2, is the resistance from the right to make such race swaps are those based in racism? So just as relativism is a thing we now apply to every navel-gazing perspective, there are multiple truths and answers to these questions. So join me as I talk about the art of the swap. But before I go any further, I'd just like to ask everyone to share, like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know I'm not doing all of this in a vacuum. Remember in 1989, the fear over the Columbia Pictures sale to a Japanese corporation? When everyone feared that a Japanese company was going to misuse its newfound power as a major motion picture studio to rewrite World War II. So much so that Congress held emergency sessions to find ways to nullify the sale. Well, we have people I call the race color hypochondriac to thank for all that. They're basically people who fear and anticipate pain in all things racial when they feel their own interests aren't being held or prioritized before all others. And I mean, all the movies you see in front of you now are offerings from Columbia Pictures after its supposed Japanese takeover. And as you can see, there's not a single seppuku, or actually a sympathetic seppuku movie amongst them. Well, who qualifies as a race color hypochondriac? Hell, just about everyone. Where are they? They're just about everywhere. In the US, at least. That's because color hypochondria in pop culture, for the most part, is a uniquely American issue, given the unique societal fabric from which the United States was put together. A fabric, or this particular fabric, steeped in immigration and slavery, is going to result in a patchwork of contrasting interests. Countries that have a more homogeneous history, through the generations, don't have to deal with such challenges as the United States. The race color hypochondriac's impact on American pop culture was at its highest point, beginning with You Got It, America's first blockbuster movie. Released in 1915, Birth of a Nation was basically a masterclass in stirring up race color hypochondria to a fever pitch. consolidating the fears of white people into a single 133-minute mission statement against black people. The movie itself was not without its technical merits, and due to the filmmaking advances introduced during production, combined with the huge cultural phenomena it had become, Birth of a Nation soon gave rise to a brand new industry. Yes, that Hollywood. So, fast forwarding roughly 105 years to today, uh, the race culture hypochondriac has trended their way back onto our frontal lobes of the American consciousness, although truthfully, they never really went away in the first place. But this time, the hypochondriac has come back a bit more media savvy, a deviant, so to speak, now in the form of the race swap conspiracist. Now, if you notice, ethnicity as a factor has been conspicuously left out of the mix here. Because ethnicity really does not come into play here. Because ethnicity is actually an easier obstacle to overcome than race when it comes to movie adaptations across the globe. Now, since language is the most outward manifestation of ethnicity, American studios constantly crank out adaptations from Spain, Germany, the Netherlands, Australia, the UK, and others, in which they in turn readily adapt from the US properties as well. I mean, it's just a matter of, a lighter skin tone here, dropping the glottal stop there, for your new audience, and you're in business with a brand new market from another country. With the possible exception of the French, where if the original source material isn't French from the jump, you may as well be blue skinned with gills anyway. But when the change is of race and color, however, that seems to be the straw that breaks the conspiracist's back. Change in race and color seems to be the factor that simply goes, forgive me for saying, beyond the pale for the race swap conspiracist. Case in point. Case in point. Case in point. The Little Mermaid. Now, don't worry, you haven't missed a release date or anything like that. This is a mock-up for video purposes only. So, in researching this topic on YouTube, I came across a 30-something-year-old white man, sounded American, who, while he was making his points against the race change in The Little Mermaid, he brought up the fact that The Little Mermaid originated in Denmark. At which point, he completely lost me. At that point, I had no idea whether he was, or exactly who he was carrying water for. Was he carrying water for the Danes? For white folks around the world in general? Or is he carrying water for the little 10-year-old boy in him who's still infatuated with a fishy little girl movie? There's no telling. Now, the pain thresholds amongst the race swap conspiracists very wildly. They very, I said very wildly, I'm trying to say. Idris Elba and Thor, to extreme examples such as this. Are you kidding me right now? Now back to the Little Mermaid. So, do I think Halle Bailey's casting as Ariel was part of some insidious leftist plan on the part of Disney? Was George Soros lurking in the wings with his DEI mandate for diversity and inclusion? I will say this. There's a better argument to keep Elsa from Frozen white than Ariel. But, hold on. As soon as I say that, Disney's probably going to do something stupid and split the difference between Elsa and... Hold on. As I was saying, I will say this. There's a better argument to keep Elsa and Anna white than Ariel. Much better. But as far as Halle Bailey being part of some sort of woke movement, there's a long answer to that question, and I will provide that in the next video. But the short answer is no. There's nothing woke or leftist to her casting. And here's the reason why, to the short answer, which will not be the same as the long answer. The reason why I don't consider that to be woke is simple. Because this kid basically knocked it out of the park with her performance. In other words, she outplayed her contract. To use a sports colloquialism, she outperformed the controversy. All right, just a couple things, and I'll wrap this one up here. To the conspiracists and the racist alike, modern American society has become a constant assault on their value systems. An assault against the hegemony they truly believe was firmly, yet fairly, established by their forebears. They believe this because, the history books told them so. Truth is, nothing causes both the hypochondriac and the racist to gnash their teeth more than to see people of color, primarily black and brown, occupy spaces that they feel historically belong to them. From bedrooms to boardrooms, this phenotypical infiltration hits at the very heart of the race-color hypochondriac, and more keenly to the outright racist. So, the question at this point is, what's the difference between a hypochondriac and a racist? The difference is this. All racists are hypochondriacs, but not all hypochondriacs are racists. Conspiracists? Find out where you lie in that spectrum. You may have come to hate spectrums. I get it. But guess what? You're in the middle of one now. Which leads directly to the next part, which will be subtitled, Kittens in the Oven Don't Make Them Woke. Think about it. And while you're at it, perhaps you should consider how the race swap conspiracists begat their own arch enemy, the race swap assimilationist.